As the healing practitioner, do you ever feel as if the sometimes chaotic energy fields of the people that you're working on, especially in a group, do you ever feel that energy being brought onto yourself?
No. For me, the struggle has been more around my capacity
Mhm.
to hold space for um, like a bigger group of people. Just because when I'm doing that, like I'm expanding my energy field, and my energy is going into creating the environment, or they say container, for the facilitation of transformation. But it's not my energy. It's an energy that
Right.
gets channeled through all of us, So I guess it's more about, am I resonating with am I connected? Am I connected, and is that flowing, or am I feeling depleted or this or that or whatever? So that's more of like where I find when holding like space for things like that. But as far as like other people and their energy, I learned techniques a couple years ago that were specifically for that, about how to connect with the aura in a way where um, outside influence isn't as easily penetrated into the aura, and how to spot when things um, aren't my energy so I can clear it more quickly from my aura, how to call back energy into my aura, um, how to heal the aura in different ways if it feels like it's been weakened for whatever reason. So I feel like because I've been training and doing that, I am not as sometimes I am, but I'm not as like easily impacted by, because I know that that's I have a distinction there, that that's not mine. Versus in the past, when I didn't have as boundaried up an aura, it's like everything could feel like it was mine. But I'm pretty clear now when it's not my energy.
How do you help other women to do the same thing, specifically women who are mothers? Because a lot of times,
Yeah.
mothers who have, um, not just if you have a large family, but trying to give or constantly giving your energy to others, especially your children, maintain the household, you can feel depleted.
Yeah.
How do you recognize what energy is yours, what isn't, and how do you help someone to almost create a barrier around themselves? Or if that's something that you do.
Yeah, it's definitely the energy work practices and being able to tune into the different layers of the aura, and the different bodies that we have, energetic bodies that we have. Um, so working with women one on one to develop that own skill for themselves. Also, um, hypnotherapy can be very good for just rewiring programs that are there that might keep someone overgiving, and not having as many boundaries that they might need to place for themselves. I'd say in the case of mothers, um, if a mom, or when moms come to me, um, I've noticed that I feel the moms that do it very successfully, they know when they need to take a pause to refuel themselves. And they have a tool, a skill, a hobby, something that helps them, because that gives us energy too, right?
Mhm.
Doing just the things that we love. So, yeah, if that were the scenario, I would do work with them around some of the root of, like, maybe they're feeling guilty for taking time out for themselves. Maybe they don't know how to like separate some of their energy and contain some of it because they feel the obligation. So I would work through some of that with them through the work that I do, and teaching them some of the energy techniques to help them in their day-to-day life. And then yeah, I would say it would be a process then, or an integration process afterwards of, finding those moments, finding those tools, um, finding those little processes that help them replenish quickly. Yeah, because it doesn't have to be some huge like hour-long rituals, like ceremonial type thing. It can, and oftentimes like with how everything's structured, we don't have the luxury to do that. So it is just about a lot of the times finding those really quick tools that help us.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times people think that when we're talking about doing this work, it's it does take days or years sometimes,
Yeah,
but that's not consecutively.
right,
We all have
right.
lives, we have
Yes,
jobs, they're
yes,
the real world.
definitely.
you know. But you mentioned the subtle body a few different times.
Hmm.
What do you mean by the subtle body and different layers of the aura?
Yeah, so there's we have our physical bodies, we have our etheric bodies, we have our emotional bodies, we have our astral bodies. I feel like I'm forgetting one
The
too.
mental body?
Mental body, thank you. Yes. So, and yoga talks about this a lot too, and how, and the different meridian points in the body, and when we move and breathe, um, and with Reiki, when we evoke energy from the earth, energy from higher source, how all of those different subtle bodies are impacted, and we just store different layers of energy in those bodies. So the healthier, in my experience, the healthier, the more clear they are. That's what I mean by healthy. The more vibrant we feel, the more alive we feel, the more energy we have, the more ourselves we feel, because we're connected and it's not as cluttered with like unprocessed emotions, negative thinking. The etheric body is the one closest to the physical body, and it's where disease first kind of starts to show up in the energy field. So, yeah, there's all these tools that help with flushing. That's flushing, clearing that energy out, so we can just kind of return home. Flower essences, for example, those are great tools too to
Flower
help.
essences?
Yeah.
What is that?
Um, so flower essences distill an energetic imprint of the flower into water, since water takes the form of anything that it comes
Like
into
rose
contact with.
water and things like that?
No, so it's actually like any kind of flower could be turned into a flower essence. There's a process behind it. Um, and it's pretty simple.
This is the information.
Yes, it's really cool. It's subtle, it's subtle, and it works on the subtle bodies. And but yeah, so every flower has an emotional component that it helps like alleviate emotional wounds and emotional pain. So it's pretty simple. Like you put the flower in a glass water,
Does it have to be
herbal
glass?
preferred. Yeah, it doesn't have to be, but preferred, out in the sun. Um, and there's just a process step by step after that with putting, getting it distilled, putting, what are those called?
Like a dropper?
Yeah, like binders or things that help preservant.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a really beautiful art. And it's energy work. It's another form of energy work that can, you take it homeopathically, so a little bit over longer periods of time,
Mhm.
and it helps move those emotions to tune more with the frequency of the flower and the emotional components of the flower. And yeah, that's crazy.
So which flowers are good for, I guess, which emotional body or which chakra or
Yeah, there's books and books and books on
oh,
this. So
sure.
there's a lot of them. Like I'll share one, rose. It's a very common flower. So rose is for showing enthusiasm. So it can help get people out of states of, like
Mm-hmm.
funky, doom and gloomy, maybe some like melancholy, and start to feel like some upliftment, some more joy, some more, yeah. So that's one example. A lot of the times with the flowers too, like we can kind of identify if we study them what they'd help with by how they look and what we receive from them by connecting to them, because they have a whole personality. I really like flowers. Everyone who knows me personally really knows
We
I
have a
really
ton
like
of plants at our
flowers.
house. I understand.
Yes, yes. And I happen to be named after a flower, which is really cool because they just bring me so they just bring me so much joy. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's so many tools.
Mhm.
There's so many.
You know, when you were talking about Reiki earlier, just go back a little bit. A lot of people hear about Reiki and they know that it's a something to do with energy and transferring of energy.
Right.
But you mentioned something that I don't think a lot of people discuss is that Reiki is invoking or using the source, but also the earth.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? What is that process like? And do you do both at the same time?
Yes. So I was first taught um, how to connect with the earth and how to connect to higher source consciousness. Um, and when I was trained, so I was taught that before I had an official Reiki attunement training, but we did that. We did similar processes in Reiki. And I've sat in different plant ceremonies and um, with some real shamans. And what I noticed from some of those experiences is it's the same thing there. So having you bring this up right now, I want to do some more research too on the origin of this because how it felt for me was that this has just been common knowledge to these indigenous communities for like, yeah, we connect to the earth, we connect to the heavens, we pull in all of that energy into all of our subtle bodies, and then we become one because we are of heaven and of earth, you know?
Mhm.
So I like to frame energy work more as personally, I like to say energy work more than I do Reiki for whatever reason. It's my personal preference because I think of what you're saying. There can be like some um, preconceived notions about Reiki. And the Reiki is a lot about the symbols that have been passed down through the lineage. And those are very, very powerful too. But for me, like I really find just so much benefit from just connecting to those power points and how you do it is like through just intention. So it's like when we invoke an intention, the energy will follow that intention. And it's just being sensitive enough to start to feel it. And it's also how I've been taught is through modeling. So
What's modeling?
having other people do it and be in that energy, like the teacher, the guide, whatever you want to call it, and then inviting other people into that energy with them because they're making that frequency available. So that's kind of like, I feel like the hidden thing that's sometimes going on is it's like, I didn't consciously know what I was doing, but I was just feeling it. I was just following it. I just trusted it. And then it became something because I practiced that I could do more um, effortlessly and just took on to.
You know, one thing I think is so important and powerful there is you're talking about walking into an energetic space in order to attune your energy to that.
Mm,
You know, we're
mm,
brought up talking about, or we're brought up being told that you're most like the closest five people that you're around.
yeah.
And that's because of the energy. So if you want to change, then
Mm,
it's important to go somewhere where it's different than your own energy.
yeah.
How do you get someone to move themselves enough out of their comfort zone to go into a energetic space that is going to be a little bit more beneficial for
So I think if someone's coming to me, on some level, they're wanting a change. So I think that's the first step is someone has to want the change because we can't necessarily will someone into that change. Definitely assisting someone and feeling comfortable and taking steps there. Um, sometimes people will come to me to have a session and they'll say like, I just want support. So I think sometimes just the act of being witnessed, being heard, having space held for them, yeah, doing the processes and things like that. But the witnessing is so powerful. Um, and a lot of the times I've noticed it helps people just get it off their chest, get it off their heart, get it off their chest. And then as the guide, um, I'm assisting others and helping them find their own answer. They already have their answer. So it's just intuitively following the information that they're giving me and being in tune enough to hear um, what's coming to me about what I should share, say, do next.
What do you mean by hear? Is it like a physical hearing?
Sometimes um, it's like an intuitive hearing. Um, yeah, the clear cognizant, the clear gifts, the psychic gifts. Clear audience is one of them. And yeah, I used to hear things like it was like a voice, and that's a whole story. But yeah, it used to come to me very clearly like that. And then it shifted more so to being a little bit more like, just like a knowing or a subtle, like, ask this, do this, do this. Cause it's almost like becoming one with the,
Yeah.
when I'm in that space, when I'm opening, when I'm asking to um, be of service to this person to facilitate a process, it'll come in that way.
Do you find that when, as you said, when you first started, you could physically hear things, and now it's more of that knowing. Do you ever find yourself wondering, I guess, what happened to being able to hear?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, I shut it down because I had, well, not consciously, but I had all of these openings happening all at once, and it was very overwhelming. And another thing at that time, I wasn't listening to a lot of the instructions that were being given to me. And I've since now learned that, a lot of our guides, what happens if we don't listen, like they won't infringe on our free will.
Right.
So they'll be like, okay, girl, like you got this, you got this. So that's a process I'm in right now, is re-engaging with those gifts and with the intention to further develop them, so that they can be, on that scale, from the place where I am now, so I can hold it better. Because I didn't know what was happening back then. I just knew this was different.
Something's happening. We talked a little bit earlier about when you don't listen to your guides, or if you don't listen to your gut feeling, your source. I feel like a lot of times people feel that perhaps by not listening, maybe they're doing something wrong, or they're being like disobedient or something like that. When I feel like that's not true.
Yeah.
It's just, as you said, they can infringe upon our own free will, and we do things with our own time. But that doesn't mean that we lost it.
Yeah.
We can get back to it.
Yeah.
How do you help someone get back to it? I know you're on that part of your journey yourself.
Yeah.
But what would you say to somebody when they want it to be a little bit stronger?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, connecting to my own inner world and inner voice, was just being able to be with myself and being able to be with all of myself, and consistently being devoted to being able to be and witness to all of myself, especially the parts of myself that were hard to be with, that are hard to be with. So that the more that I do that,
I know, sorry.
it's okay. Yeah. No, the more that I do that, the more that muscle starts to strengthen again, and I can tell like where something is coming from.
It's interesting when people talk about the clear gifts as the muscle. And the reason I find that so interesting is because when I think about the clairs, and the psychic abilities that people call it.
Yeah.
I don't view it as some innate ability that only some people have.
Yeah.
It's something that everybody can do.
Yeah.
How can everyone tap more into this? Because a lot of people say we can't do that, but everybody gets a gut feeling.
Hmm.
Everybody understands when we say you get a good or bad vibe of that person.
Yeah.
You know not to walk down a certain alleyway for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So how can we help people to become more in tune who might not be as sensitive?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think there's just, yeah, there are varying factors. I like that you just ended that with sensitive because I think the only difference is that literally that some people are just, we all have it, but some people are just more sensitive to it than others because of how they're wired. So if it were someone that was wanting to bring more of that online, why I I feel like it's called a muscle is because it's training, it's practice. It's for some people it might come more naturally. However, anyone can train to develop a muscle, right? To further strengthen and develop a muscle. So there are a lot of specific practices and ways to connect in that way that if someone were to consistently do that, it would be on more and more and more and more. Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of times when people are training those abilities, it can be a little bit honestly scary
Yeah.
as they
Yeah.
come true, don't know what's going on. How do you push past that fear? Or is it okay to just put it on pause, as you said earlier?
Yeah. I mean, I've gone through that myself and like, I'll put it on pause. I said, pause that. But I noted, I've seen that. I think it's up to everyone's own personal experience in their capacity, what they're able to, like, if I'm ready to see other beings in other dimensions, and if I want that, do I want that? Will this be? I like to think about it in the way I'm a lot more practical than I used to be in my spiritual developments in the sense where I'm like, all right, like I'm here now, I'm doing this now, I have this life now. I have to figure out what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And any
I 100% get
constant,
that.
constant, like what am I doing?
100% get that.
Constant accesses or prices down here. So it's like, can these are these tools, are they helping me? Is it helping me? Will it help me? How can this help me? Will these spirit guides can they help me? Like, will this assist me in this life to do what I feel like I came here to do? Yes, great. I'm going for it. If it feels overwhelming or like there's resistance or like, I don't know, then there's another tool. There's
Yeah.
definitely, another tool.
I like that because a lot of times when we feel the resistance, we feel as if like, okay, we're just gonna put it away and then never get back to it.
Yeah.
But there is another tool. There is something else out there for you. So Jasmine, we only have a few minutes left. Is there
Yeah.
anything like with the audience before we go?
Um, yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me. It was nice to just have this conversation and share. I am opening up one-on-one sessions with all of the modalities that I mentioned to you. People can book me online as well. I am hosting women's circles here locally in Tempe, Arizona for the time being, which will later transfer to more of an online platform too. Um, yeah, I'm also selling physical products. I sell adornments, I sell clothes, I sell jewelry, I sell items from my ancestry in Panama, and it helps support the women in communities in Panama. Um, yeah, so anyone's interested in connecting with me about any of those things, I'd be more than honored and grateful. They can find me on Instagram. The business account is at the Jasmani Garden. So TheJasmani Garden, Garden. And my personal account is Jasmine's Essence. So Jasmine period ESSENCE. There's links on there that they can connect to me with an opening call. And yeah.
Did you make everything that you're wearing today?
Well, okay, I dyed this I dyed this.
Uh,
This is natural dye. This I got in Panama, so I sell these really dope headbands too.
yeah, it's really good.
Um, and then these I got when I was traveling in Peru. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I love that so much. Well,
Thanks.
thank you so much, Jasmine, for coming on. And thank you,
Thanks.
everybody, for listening to this episode of Onion Soup. I will have everything in the description below so you know exactly where to find her. And if you need any help, if you need to reach out, uh, Jasmine is the perfect person to talk to. Just please reach out. And as always, stay blessed. Thank you. Bye.